Hello everyone, this is Shadow Dragon and we're back on the DC Universe Online test server. But this is not the Christmas episode, which you see like the decorations in the background, but that's not what we're here for. They did a live stream earlier today for Game Update 94. Now there's a ton in here. I was expecting Game Update 94 to be the spring event, which it is. But there's a whole ton of other stuff that pretty much eclipses that. And there's no time to cover that in one video. So for this one, I'm just going to concentrate on what I think is the biggest thing. And it's going to be the most visual thing also. So they went ahead and they updated the skins of all of the mentors. Superman was already done about a year ago. And they teased Wonder Woman on Twitter, but they actually did all 6, so we'll take a look at that. Something totally unexpected was they updated the skins for the human player. So what we're looking at now is this is the update to human skin number 3. Now the numbers are a little bit mixed up. But 3 is the only consistent one, where the classic one matches up with the new one. So 3 is supposed to be the Asian human skin, and you may not have noticed that with the live server or the classic one, because they weren't like drastically different from each other. But okay, the way it is on live is number 1 is supposed to be African, number 2 is Caucasian, and number 3 is Asian. The way they numbered the revamped ones is 1 is Caucasian, 2 is African, and 3 is Asian. Now I don't know if they're going to mix that up or switch that around so that it matches. I kind of think they should. But anyway, we'll look at those 3 right now. Okay, so this is the new number 3. So you notice that the eyes are a little bit more detailed, and the facial features are pretty different. So this is going to correspond with Classic 2. So this is what cryogenics looks like on the live server. And notice that I didn't change the colors, but it went lighter. The skin overall went lighter. And that's because they added some more contrast to the new ones. So flipping back to the new one. See, the shadows got darker and the highlights got brighter. So it's also important to note that they're not just forcing these on us. If you happen to like the old style better, you can stick with that. The old ones will just be renamed to Human Classic 1, 2, and 3. And then the newer ones are just Human 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so moving on to the African skin. I think this one probably has the most noticeable difference, because the older one, which you'll see, I didn't think the older one, at least on the female monarch body type, it looks a little bit weird. Okay, so here it is. Human skin 2 is the African one on the revamp, but it actually corresponds with the classic number 1. So now I thought this one always looked a little bit off because the eyes look cross-eyed. So I'm kind of glad they fixed that. Like on my live character, because of the eyes, I always gave her the emissive eyes. And anyway, she's a Green Lantern, so she has that nice glow. But yeah, the eyes on the old one bothered me because they look cross-eyed. And again, you do notice that the skin got lighter when I switched to the old one. Okay, so going back to the new one again. Yeah, much better. And you'll notice also that the lips are a lot clearer on the new one. Like there's more of a continuous color. And this one clearly looks different than the others. Whereas the old version, if you compare the three, they kind of look almost the same with just slight variations. Alright, and moving on to the Caucasian one. So this is the new one. Clearly the eyes look better. Looks like there's more life in the eyes. Yeah, I think a good next step, if even possible, in other games, like usually a character looks alive when they blink. So we're still missing that. But this is a huge improvement. So for comparison, here is the old one, and now this is what I mean. Like human 1 is Caucasian on the new set, but on the old set it's classic too. So that's what that looks like. So I actually like these. I was afraid initially when people requested this on the forums, because I was okay with the old styles. Like they just had like an ideal quality to them. They just weren't as crisp. So they kind of kept the same quality and just added some more details to it. But it's always sensitive when they mess with like the player characters' faces. So that's why I'm glad and worried whenever someone brings it up, because like with some of the updates to NPC faces and models, I wasn't happy with all of them. They first did this with Age of Justice, which I thought was okay for those characters, but I just wouldn't want those faces on our characters. And then as they went through the iconics, you know, like some of them looked good and some of them didn't. Like in my opinion, I kind of didn't like the Superman update. Like I mean, his armor was cool, but I didn't like how the face moved away from the original style that was modeled after Jim Lee. Like I really think they should have kept that. But yet, some of them actually did look good. Like I liked Aquaman. Didn't really like Mara. And then for Justice League Dark, they all looked good. Okay, so that will do it for the player skins. They just updated the 3 human ones. Maybe they'll go in and update some of the others. So the animal skins are still the same, and the human variants, like was it like Tattoo or something? Like those are still the same as before. Hopefully, when they update the variants like the Tattoo one, they put it on like the other ones as well, because right now the Tattoo one or Barbarian, they're just variants of the Caucasian. So they need to make like an African and Asian versions of those. Alright, let's go to the Watchtower and let's take a look at the Mentors. On a side note, you'll notice that the Chaos Gotham mission is active, and there's now a diamond showing the distance to the objective. So very much like other games, like the whole Arkham series, and I believe Assassin's Creed probably has it, And what's the measurement here? Alright, that looks like feet rather than like meters or yards, because that's definitely not 15 to 12. That's 15 to 12 yards. That's definitely feet. Okay, on to the mentors. Wait, one more level. Okay, so Superman is back in this room, and he was already reskinned. He was reskinned last year with the Doomsday content. So there's a meshy texture on his costume, similar to the movie one. I kind of wish they would do that with all slim lines across the board. Like, they should just do that. And Batman, he didn't get a model redo, but the costume is matching whatever is in the comic books now. I didn't read anything recently, but with Rebirth, they kind of went with the classic Batman costume, except the logo had like a yellow outline. So I don't know if they switched back to full black on that or not. And Rebirth also clearly had like the large pouches on his belt. And the darker parts are black rather than like a blue. So Batman's looking good, and if we zoom all the way in, he's got the texture. So I wouldn't mind if they left him like this with that, there's no need to update his model. Like, he's masked anyway, and I want the proportions like kept as the Jim Lee style of drawing. Wonder Woman was a complete redo. Like, they actually redid the model here. And the art is based on Nicola Scott. So that's a pretty good translation from her drawings. And she's got the Rebirth costume, which is pretty similar to the movie one, where it looks more armored than slimline. And she's got the glowing lasso. And let's take a look at the details. Even when you go into each panel, like, you can see a texture there. I don't know if that's going to show up on like the video, which is going to be lower res than what I'm running this at. So there you go. Hero Mentors looking good. Alright, so now we're moving on to the Villain Mentors. So starting off with Joker. Now, like Batman, this is the same model. And there was really no need to change Joker. Like, his suit looks good already. And he's already had the stylized face. So he just got recolored and retextured. Okay, the villains are a bit further apart. Here is Lex Luthor. So they mentioned in the live stream that his face got a little bit modified so that he looked as detailed as the Earth 3 Alexander Luthor. And there's a ton more detail in his armor. They do a really good job with colored metals. Because if you look at the older metals, they're like too perfect. And whenever you're building anything in 3D, you kind of, in order for it to be realistic, you got to make it look like used, slightly used at least, and imperfect. So there's a lot of detail and texture in this metal. You can, if you zoom all the way in, you will see like little nicks and stuff that make it look realistic. That is what Steven Spielberg calls a used universe. So if you look closely at Star Wars like models, they'll have like that type of quality to it. And then we're going to end this with Circe, because she's the most updated of the villains. Now underneath this, it is the same model, but her armor is heavily upgraded. Now this is based on future Circe suit, so she has like the full body suit that's under her, the armor that you're used to. Now, initially, I thought they may have just dressed her in the T6 suit, the Bewitching Battle suit, which is also based on future Circe. Now, while that looks like the player suit, if you zoom in, it totally isn't. Like this has like the updated textures that the player set does not have. Especially that the headdress looks really good. I hope we get that in some form. Now it would be cool if they updated Bewitching Battlesuit into this. But I have a feeling this one is just customized to her. Now one of the things I did want to test is if they updated the legends. They haven't in the past. Like if you use Superman, it's still the old Superman. But let's take a look at this the T6 Solo. Maybe we'll get surprised. Now there's actually two things to check. I want to see if we get to play as Circe, and then after this I'll fire up the Wonder Woman one, because in the first cutscene there's an NPC Circe there, so I'm wondering if she's replaced there.
Let us not delay any longer. Prepare to witness these moments.
Oh wow, we do get to use her. Oh no. No, it's only for the cutscene. Okay, so very likely if I do the Wonder Woman one, we will see her in the cutscene. But the player remains as the classic. So let's take a look at that. I'm also curious because the cutscene also involves Wonder Woman, so I wonder if she's going to switch from classic to upgraded. That's going to look a little bit funny if that's the case.
Let us not delay any longer. Prepare to witness these moments.
So this counts as a cutscene. And yeah, that's the revamped one. But then when it switches to player mode, it's back to classic. So let's see what the first cutscene here looks like, because it involves both characters.
The rumors of the Amazons preparing for war with Gotham are true. My mother would never allow this. I must find her. Why would you plan an attack on Gotham City?
We eliminated the Brainiac infestation from Themyscira, but it never should have come here in the first place. The mortal world has grown weak, and the Justice League is unfit to protect it. If we do not act now, the threat will return.
Attacking the city will hurt innocent people. Let's work with the mortal world and find a solution together.
The mortal world has failed, Diana. We must forge alliances with those strong enough to defend it. All other options have been exhausted. War is upon us.
Hello, sister.
Circe, this is your doing. I won't let this war happen.
The Amazons stand by their queen. Join me.
No. And our sisters will see the truth. That this is wrong.
Stubborn until the end. Guards, arrest her.
Yeah, so that looks a little bit weird.
Shut up and fight. You cannot prevail.
And of course, the game is going to look weird for a while until they update like all the NPCs.
You're an unworthy foe.
Because just in that cutscene, you see like Circe standing right next to Hippolyta. Like Hippolyta's armor looks detailed, but you know her face is like definitely not. It's very pixelated, like especially when you get to the eye area.
Now is not the time to chase after Mother. I must speak with my sisters before they leave for Gotham.
But yeah, I wonder if this is something they could adjust, because I mean the cutscenes are still moving models around. It's not like a video segment or anything, and you can tell that because like obviously sometimes our characters are in the cutscenes, so I mean our characters wouldn't be in a pre-recorded video.
There's already civil unrest among my sisters. I must convince them to see the truth.
Okay, but I think I'll cut that off from here. This is really long enough, but this update is huge. I mean, it covers a ton more than what they even showed in the live stream. So I will link to the live stream, which shows a little bit more than this, and there's some overlap, and then the full update notes that has everything. But I will likely do another video to cover the seasonal, which I thought this update was. But obviously this stuff is way more important than the seasonal. And there's also a whole bunch of other bug fixes and quality of life changes. But that's it for now. Definitely stay tuned, and thanks for watching.